Well, if we're going from chopping trees to nurturing them, we need to be able to relate to the tree, become the tree. And Wormwood here is the sentient celestial tree creature to teach us the ways. Regardless, Wormwood came to this world seemingly on accident, when one day, a shard from the moon came down to Earth, affecting the plantation around it. It grew and formed together and gave sentience to our plant buddy Wormwood. Being as unique as he is, he knew loneliness very early on in life. But that's okay, we're his friends now. Once again, fairly default and decent stats with 150 health and hunger, and 200 sanity. But wait! Before I discuss his capabilities, I need to talk about how to unlock him first. Wormwood, along with currently 3 other characters, will be locked and unable to be played by default. These 4 characters are counted as DLC characters that require being unlocked first before one could play as them. So, how do we unlock them? From the in-game or Steam store, you can find a couple of Wormwood chests. These both contain the character of Wormwood as well as some of his unique skins, if you're into that. Now obviously I'm Australian, so your prices may differ from mine. If you own original single player Don't Starve and have bought the Hamlet DLC for that game, Wormwood will be given to you for free upon opening Don't Starve Together again. But for those who don't want to spend any real money, there is another way. If you manage to unravel any unwanted outfits you own and obtain 2,700 spools, you can weave Wormwood without spending a cent. All these unlocking methods apply to all the DLC characters, apart from the Hamlet method. But now, his mechanics. While he doesn't start with any special items within his inventory, he makes up with his unique playstyle required to master him. You'll notice it quick with early resource gathering, as picking flowers, digging up plants, or chopping any trees in your world will hit your sanity in negative ways. The values are as follows. Burning any plant life, or watching trees get knocked down by other creatures will take 2 sanity each. Picking flowers, digging up grass tufts, saplings, berry bushes, tree stumps, etc. will take 5 sanity each. And chopping trees of any type or size will hit you for 15 sanity. So for trees, it's best to only chop down the fully grown ones. However, what can be dug up can be replanted. Replanting any seed, sapling, bush, tuft, mushroom, etc. will give you 10 sanity. So if you wish, you could just repeatedly dig up and replant a sapling for infinite sanity. Following this, Wormwood has the ability to plant any type of seed directly into the ground without the need of a farm plot. These seeds can be planted almost anywhere, and regardless of how they were planted, they will stay fresher 50% longer. However, you can't add any nutrients into the ground like you could with a farm tile, so you can't obtain giant crops through this method. Following this again, he can assess any crop and determine what certain plants need without the need of a gardener's hat. All these farming perks make Wormwood a very good farm support character for any team you're in. I'm just throwing this out there, I didn't record any of this, but apparently Wormwood gains no sanity effects from holding wet items or being wet himself. I'm just throwing that out there because I couldn't find a good place to include it. Your relationship to plants also carries over to the more lively of the plant life. Lure plants, seaweeds, as well as spiny bindweeds and fire nettles won't harm Wormwood unless provoked. Also, being part vegetation comes with the risk of being more flammable. As well as most electrical damage being able to set him alight, he will receive 25% more damage from fire sources, as well as staying on fire for a second longer than other survivors. Sadly, the bad news doesn't end there. Not a single edible food will have any effect on Wormwood's health, except for jelly beans, because they heal over time and are magic, I guess. This also applies to foods that will take away health, so chow down on that monster lasagna. This means you'll have to rely on other healing methods, like healing salves, honey poultice, or sleeping. Or you can use Wormwood's unique method of healing, rubbing shit on your body. Because he's a plant, and plants need fertilizer. Certain items have a nutrient value that can be applied to Wormwood, and each will have a special effect on him. Items that count as manure will heal a certain amount instantaneously. Items that count as compost will heal Wormwood over time rather than instantaneously. I've got a list here of how much they can heal and what item can do what. The items that contain growth formula have a different effect, so I'll be discussing that soon. But before we discuss his major power, let's go over his green thumb crafting tab. Wormwood can straight up chop living logs off of himself. Living logs are quite a powerful item, an item that can only appear in your world due to random chance, and they will give you access to good magic and ancient crafts. And it only costs Wormwood 20 health to make it. Bramble traps need a living log and a bee stinger. These can be placed down similar to teeth traps, and once something steps on it, it deals 40 damage in an area of effect. Although this area effect can deal damage to Wormwood himself, so you might want to invest in this next item, the Bramble Husk. Costing 2 living logs and 4 stingers, it's a chest piece armor that provides 80% protection and has 450 health. But if you get hit while wearing it, it shoots out spikes that deal 22.6 damage to mobs nearby. This negates any damage done to you by bramble traps, as well as protecting you whilst picking any spiky bushes, cactus or roses. Compost wrap is Wormwood's last craftable for now. Requiring 5 manure, 2 rot and 1 niter, this is another healing method for Wormwood. Once used, it gives 8 health immediately, then heals 2 health every 2 seconds for the next 32 seconds, so in total you get 40 health altogether. And now, his blooming mechanics. This is a very complicated topic that require a bit of math to work out, so I've come up with this. In the description of this video is a link to a video going in depth into the mechanics of blooming, because this took me a while to work out for myself. So instead, now I'll just provide a more simpler explanation to how blooming works. At the beginning of spring, after applying items that have growth formula, or if you're caught in acid rain, Wormwood will make a comment and some leaves will start sprouting. This counts as stage 1 of blooming. In this stage, you will have a 6% movement speed increase, but also the same 6% increase in hunger drain. One day later, some more leaves will appear, and a bulb will sprout from his head. Now you'll have a 13% increase in movement speed and hunger drain. After one more day, the flower will bloom, and Wormwood will leave a trail of flowers at their feet. Speed and hunger drain will cap here at 20%. But the flowers that spawn around his feet aren't only cosmetic, but they will also attract all kinds of bees. This does include the queen, grumble, and killer bees. However, the bees will not pollinate from these flowers. These flowers will also automatically tend to all nearby crops, and the giant flower on his head will provide 60 points of overheating protection. Once spring ends, or the in-game code bloom timer is over, Wormwood will slowly regress in their blooming stages until they are back to normal. Wormwood's skill tree is one of the more unique ones in that it actually looks the most like a tree. The first skill has to be unlocked before you can, quite literally, branch out to any other skills. Seed Sleuth will allow Wormwood to identify any seeds that are planted on the ground, so you don't have to play guesswork when gardening with random seeds. I'll start with the skills in the bottom right. Growth Spurt 1 makes it so reaching the next stage of blooming is 10% quicker. Growth Spurt 2 is 25% quicker in changing blooming stages. Shade Plant gives a total 180 points of overheating protection once bloomed. Pretty simple. Flower Power makes items with growth formula 30% more effective when applied to Wormwood. Again, I'll go into the specifics of blooming in the video that's in the description. Photosynthesis will heal Wormwood 1 health point every 10 seconds when exposed to daylight and in full bloom. This daylight can also come from any summoned Dwarf Star or Fireball that Willow can summon. I'm getting to you, alright? Moving to the middle right skills now. Farmhand increases the effectiveness radius of Wormwood's bloom flowers tending to any other plants. Alright, simple. Compost Care shortens the self-fertilizing animation when applying compost wrap by approximately 60%. Be Kind, very funny, will make bees and butterflies ignore Wormwood when nearby, and will stop killer bees from coming out of their hives, unless provoked first. Bramble Trap Specialist will reset nearby Bramble Traps when fully bloomed. Bramble Husk Specialist will give the Bramble Husk an ability to shoot out spikes if you hit an enemy 3 consecutive times without being hit yourself. These spikes do the same 22.6 damage as before, but these spikes won't hurt your own followers. The top right skills are your affinity skills, but you might have noticed that Wormwood doesn't get any shadow aligned perks. Of course, being of celestial origin means you don't get a choice in this fight. But anyway, After unlocking 5 right branch skills and having defeated Celestial Champion in the past, you will be able to unlock 2 Lunar skills on this side. Lunar Guardian 1 will allow you to trap any creature that hits you in vines for 6 seconds, but you have to be wearing the Bright Shade armor for this effect to take place. Oh, and you can also fuse together the Bright Shade armor and Bramble Husk to make a Bramble Shade armor, and gives the best of both armors, but the Vine effect will only work on the normal Bright Shade armor. Lunar Guardian 2 will summon a vine to attack enemies when you're fighting with any Bright Shade weapon. These vines have a 20% chance to spawn when attacking and deal 70 physical damage and 15 planar damage. I made another video a while ago if you want an explanation to planar mechanics. Now we move on to the left side branch, starting at the bottom left. Sapling crafting allows you to craft a lunar sapling out of 5 twigs and 5 health. Berry bush crafting allows you to craft berry bushes out of 3 rot, 8 juicy berries, and 10 health, in both classic and leafy styles. Juicy berry bush crafting does the same as the previous skill, but instead you can craft the juicy berry bush, but will require 8 regular berries instead. These 2 skills can be helpful if your world is stuck with one type of berry or the other, and you prefer the one variant over the other. Monkey tail crafting can make a monkey tail tuft out of 3 bananas, 4 reeds, and 15 health. Look at that, people! Relocatable and renewable reeds, all in the comfort of your own base. Lure plant crafting can make a whole lure plant bulb out of 2 compost wraps, 5 leafy meat, and 25 health. Remember how I said these guys can't hurt you? Yeah, this can be one way to defend your base. Unless you play with friends. They won't like you for this. The middle left skills start with Mushroom Mastery 1, which makes all mushrooms planted by Wormwood grow 10% faster. Mushroom Mastery 2 is similar in that it will now take 20% less time for mushrooms to fully grow. Pour Sap will let you craft Ipecaca Syrup. I really hope I pronounced that right. Crafted out of 1 redcap, 1 honey, and 1 rot, this item can be fed to pigmen and beefalo to deal 20 damage, but then force them to drop manure for the next 45 seconds, while also dealing more damage to them over time. You'll end up with 15 manure, though I managed to get 16 somehow, and whoever you fed it to will have lost 95 damage in total, 20 of it being instantaneous, 75 of it being over time. That poor guy's anus. Mushroom Multiplier will increase the maximum yield of mushrooms from 4 to 6 in total. Moonshroom Cloud will not only allow Wormwood to plant moonshrooms into mushroom planters, but when eating a raw mushroom, it will release a sleep-inducing cloud that can put other creatures to sleep. Pretty handy. Once again, the left affinity skills require having earned 5 left branch skills and have beaten Celestial Champion. Lunar Cultivator 1 will let you summon your own carrot out of 1 carrot and 5 health, and it will follow you around. These carrots you summon can bring any food it finds on the ground and bring it to you if you have inventory space. They also have 25 health, and you can have 4 of these at a time, but they will despawn after 3 days or if they're killed otherwise. Lunar Cultivator 2 lets you summon a bulbous light bug out of 1 light bulb and 10 health. These creatures circle around your player, providing hand-free light. You can have a max of 6 of these and they will once again despawn after 3 days. Lunar Cultivator 3 is the final skill today. Requiring a dragon fruit and 25 health, you can summon your very own Salamander. You can have up to 2 of these at a time. Having 1 will give it 600 health, but having 2 will give each 900 health. They will regenerate health outside of battle at 5 points every 2.5 seconds, and they can deal 40 damage to enemies. They will also despawn after 2 days. Finally, Wormwood's favourite food, the very simple and very humble banana. Specifically a cooked banana. You can find these near and from the spelunkies in the caves, from banana bushes on the Moon Key Island, or from gambling, as I'm only now learning from the wiki. Once cooked, they normally provide 12.5 hunger and 3 health, but for Wormwood, he will gain 27.5 hunger and 0 health, because he doesn't heal from food. And with that, we've reached the end of the Wormwood guide. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry this took a long time to actually make. A lot of stuff came up with life, and you know how it gets. So sorry for the wait, but managed to pull through regardless. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye, everyone.